How do you live a good life? I mean, a truly effective and meaningful one. It's a question we all wrestle with, right? Well, over 2,500 years ago, the philosopher Confucius laid out this incredibly powerful framework that's still so relevant today. So let's dive into his timeless wisdom on what he called the way of the gentleman.
Right off the bat, we get to the absolute heart of his philosophy. It's this one fundamental contrast. See, everything else we're going to talk about flows from this single idea. Where do you look for your strength, your validation, your answers? Do you look inward, to yourself, or do you look outward, to others? That choice, right there, changes absolutely everything.
You know, to really understand what the way of the gentleman is, we first have to get a clear picture of what it is not. And Confucius does this brilliantly by constantly comparing this ideal figure with its opposite, a character he calls the small man.
And this is where you see the real difference, right? When things get tough, true character isn't revealed when things are easy. It's forged in a crisis. This actually comes from a story where Confucius and his followers were literally starving. One of his disciples just completely lost it, but Confucius pointed out that a gentleman stays calm under that kind of pressure. Why? Because his foundation is internal. The small man, on the other hand, just falls apart. He loses all control because his entire sense of self is built on things outside of him.
So, it all boils down to where you put your focus. And does this sound a little familiar? The gentleman is constantly looking inward, focused on self-improvement. He's asking, am I capable enough? Am I doing the right thing? Meanwhile, the small man is obsessed with external validation. All he thinks about is, do other people see how great I am? Am I getting enough credit? One of those paths leads to real growth. The other, well, it leads straight to frustration and resentment.
Okay, so we've established that the gentleman's strength comes from within. But how do you actually build that? How do you cultivate that unshakable inner core? It's not just about cramming your head full of facts. It's about developing a kind of internal compass.
You know, it's funny. One of his own students asked him this exact question. The student saw Confucius as this guy who just learned and remembered everything, like a walking encyclopedia. He figured, okay, that must be the secret, right? Just know a ton of stuff.
And Confucius's answer is just perfect. He says no. It's not about collecting a bunch of scattered facts. It's about having one unified, coherent philosophy that connects all of your knowledge and all of your actions. A single thread.
And that single thread, that's the way. It's the central principle, the core idea that guides every single decision you make. Think of it like the operating system for a well-lived life. It ensures that everything you do is consistent and has integrity.
This really tells you everything you need to know about his priorities. While other people are out there chasing money or fame or status, the gentleman's number one concern is, am I aligned with my moral path? Am I on the way? He has this trust that if he gets that right, the other stuff, the material needs, will eventually sort themselves out.
But don't get me wrong, this inner focus isn't some passive head-in-the-clouds thing. No, it requires foresight. It demands that you think ahead. By thinking about the way and the challenges that might come, the gentleman is able to handle problems before they become full-blown crises. You know, he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Okay, so you've built this internal compass. That's fantastic. But what does it actually look like in the real world? An inner philosophy is pretty useless if it doesn't change how you actually behave, right? So let's look at virtue in action.
When one of his followers asked for a simple, practical guide to get through life without running into trouble, this was the answer. And it's such a clear, actionable formula. First, make sure your words are true and trustworthy. Second, make sure your actions are focused and respectful. Do those two things and your path forward will be clear. And get this, the follower, a guy named Tzu, thought this advice was so important that he literally wrote it on his sash so he would see it every single day.
Oh, this is such a brilliant piece of social wisdom. If you want to avoid making people resent you, here's the secret. Demand excellence from yourself, but be understanding and forgiving when it comes to other people's shortcomings. It's this amazing combination of high personal standards and real compassion for others. That's a true hallmark of the gentleman. And here's a huge warning about the importance of discipline. You can have the grandest ambitions, the most brilliant strategies, the most detailed plans, and all of it can be completely destroyed by one simple failure of self-control in a moment that seems totally minor. Those small details matter so much because your character is built in those tiny little choices you make every day.
This quote here really pulls all those pieces together into one complete package. See, it all starts with a moral foundation. That's your basic stuff. Then you put it into practice through proper conduct and being modest. And finally, you make it real. You bring it to completion through trustworthy speech. Each of those components is absolutely essential.
So, remember that single thread we talked about, the one that binds everything together? Well, what if we could distill this entire complex philosophy down even further? What if we could boil it all down to just one single guiding principle, a single golden word? Confucius thought you could.
And wouldn't you know it, another one of his disciples, 12 Kung, asked him that exact question. He basically said, "Master, just give me the one word. If there's one word I can live by for my entire life, what is it?" The answer Confucius gave is shu. This is it. This is the single thread. And at its core, shu is all about reciprocity, about empathy. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and having the ability to see the world from another person's point of view.
And here is its timeless, beautiful explanation. You might recognize it. It's basically the golden rule, but stated in the negative, which makes it incredibly practical. Before you act, before you speak, you just have to ask yourself one simple question. Would I want this done to me? If the answer is no, well, then that's your guide. Don't do it. It's that simple and that powerful. So when you put all of this together, what's the big takeaway? I think it's this. The way of the gentleman isn't some title you earn or a finish line you cross. It's not a destination you finally arrive at. No, it's a continuous, lifelong journey of self-cultivation. It's a path you walk every single day.
This quote is all about personal responsibility. It's so important. The way is a path, sure, but it's not going to just carry you along for the ride. You have to be the one to actively walk it. You have to be the one to broaden it with your own efforts. You are the agent of your own growth.
And walking this path requires decisive action. When the moment comes to do the right thing, to be kind, to be generous, to be benevolent, you have to act. Period. There are no excuses. Confucius says that not even showing deference to your teacher should stop you from doing good when you have the chance.
Listen, on this journey, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. Everybody does. But according to Confucius, the mistake itself isn't the real failure. The real failure, the true error, is knowing you messed up and choosing not to correct it.
And so, I'll leave you with this. This is the question that drives the entire journey. Confucius once said that he could do nothing for a person who wasn't constantly asking themselves this. It's the sign of an engaged, searching mind. It is the engine of self-improvement and the very first step on the lifelong journey of the gentleman. So, let me ask you, what are you to do?